fourth video on the debate. Let's go.
Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a lot of it done. We released 38.
Okay, I saw a big news article. Please go watch my video on this after this, because I'm not gonna spoil anything here, but it's about Hunter Biden.
We got 38,000 prisoners left from
You got nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. There were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running, to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I just asked one question. Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. You put tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why, Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President Biden.
I mean, yeah, and he's proved this because he can't refute that he wrote that bill, and he can't refute that he was vice president for Obama. So how is he going to say, oh well, he can't refute that, because, well, he promised to do this right now, but why didn't he do it 8 years ago? I mean, how is he going to say, well, I was just enlightened? Yeah.
And then we're going to move on to the next section.
We had a Republican Congress.
A Republican Congress?
That's the answer.
Well,
Okay.
You got to talk them into it, Joe.
All right.
Sometimes you got to talk them into it.
We're going to move on to our next.
A Republican Congress. A Republican Congress. You didn't even introduce a bill to do any of that. So you didn't even try.
Section,
Like I did with criminal justice reform. I had to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen, we're running out of time, so we got to get on to climate change, please. You both have very different visions on climate change. President Trump, you say that environmental regulations have hurt jobs in the energy sector. Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both combat climate change?
Okay, let's say you completely got rid of the oil industry. 10 million jobs lost. So to offset that, you'd have to create 10 million jobs with no net job gain, except now we have all this old technology, and we have now batteries that will cost more than this. So what you've just done is cost a bunch of companies a bunch of money and put, well, a ton of people out of business.
Climate change and support job growth at the same time. Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means.
Ooh.
But I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses.
So what does Joe Biden have to refute?
You ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years.
This is true.
And we haven't destroyed our industries.
Vice President Biden, 2 minutes to you, uninterrupted.
Climate change, climate warming, global warming is
Climate warming.
We have a moral obligation to do with it.
Climate warming. Jesus Christ, Joe Biden. Climate warming. The hell is climate warming? Have you just gone and made up your own words? Oh, I think climate warming is... Climate warming, guys. Climate warming. Climate warming. Jesus Christ.
And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world we don't have much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8.
Yes, but America cannot do this alone. America isn't the only country, and it only produces 17%, so even if we did, that's 70%. That would probably delay us back, maybe a year, maybe 5 or 10, but I don't know. Seriously, we wouldn't be safe even if America had zero emissions. Seriously, please don't do this.
8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to limit the limit of emissions, will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able to get both all the environmental organizations as well as labor, people worried about jobs, to support my climate plan.
Oh, Jesus. Unions! Labor unions, Jesus Christ. Okay, labor unions just want more money. They don't care. They want more people to unionize, and they want more money.
Because what it does, it will create millions of new, good-paying jobs. We're going to invest in, for example...
And take away 10 million oil jobs.
For example, 50,000 charging stations on our highways, so that we...
Do you have any idea how much that will cost? 50,000 charging stations? First of all, you're going to have to hook it up to some electricity source, which power lines, fine. But you're going to have to first install a battery, install the cables, install a parking space, probably build hundreds of these parking spaces, probably with a bathroom. So you're going to have a lot of problems.
We can own the electric car market of the future. In the meantime, China is doing that. We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it...
China. Okay, China. China burns coal. Oh, Jesus. Okay, if you actually want to go save the Earth, I recommend using search engines like Ecosia, or supporting movements to actually reduce carbon, not by completely getting rid of industries, but by creating carbon scrubbers and then putting them up in the air. I recommend that, and, it's actually a good idea, because we don't lose very many jobs. Actually, we don't lose any jobs. We gain jobs because of the people need to manage this, and we have less carbon in the air. We also get byproducts like plastic and fuel. In other words, we have a kind of self-renewing machine. I mean, it's not 100% efficient, but we have fuel from carbon. And this is not a joke, they've already started. So I recommend supporting these two and using the search engine Ecosia, because, it actually does plant trees, although it sells your data a lot. So, yeah.
That we're going to take 4 million existing billion buildings and 2 million existing homes and retrofit them so they don't leak as much
Wait a second. That sounds a lot like the Green New Deal.
energy, saving hundreds of millions of barrels of oil in the process and creating significant number of jobs. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs, and it's going to clean the environment. Our health
And get rid of
our jobs are at stake.
And get rid of 10 million jobs. But okay, whatever. So let's say we have let's say we have Joe Biden. He gets rid of all oil jobs, all fracking jobs, every single job like that. Getting rid of all of the getting rid of the all the oil jobs would result in 10 million jobs lost. Getting rid of all the oil all the oil and all of the non-electric car manufacturing would probably cost around 15 million jobs in total. Now, adding all, trying to offset this would probably result in a net loss of only 10 million. A small 10 million jobs.
Stake. That's what's happening. And what right now, by the way, Wall Street firms indicated that my plan will in fact create 18.6 million jobs.
Oh, so a net gain of 3.6 million jobs. Amazing.
7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street. And I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth than his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump,
They came out and said very strongly $6,500 will be taken away from families under his plan, that his plan is an economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do, if you look at his plan, his environmental plan, you know who developed it? AOC plus 3. They know nothing about the climate.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
I mean, she's got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3. Look, their real plan cost $100 trillion. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it could be good politically. Right. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Okay.
And many other things.
Let me have the Vice President respond, and we're running out of time, and we have a lot more questions to get to. Country. So let's hear from the Vice President. I have a number more questions.
I don't know where he comes from. I don't know where he comes up with these numbers. 100.
The Green New Deal and how experts estimated would cost $100 trillion. And since your plan is basically the Green New Deal, Trump's just applying the same things.
$1 trillion. Give me a break. This plan is endorsed by every major environmental group and every labor group. Labor, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way,
yeah, it does. Something that Trump's been doing. Joe Biden, I don't think you realize Trump's not actually Satan. Do you realize that?
The fastest growing industry in America is solar energy and wind. He thinks wind causes cancer, windmills.
No, that's a blatant lie. Oh my god. Yes, he thinks windmills cause cancer. Okay. I'd like to see if Trump actually says... What? What do you mean windmills cause cancer? Jesus Christ. Wait, are you even understand? Hello, Joe Biden? Are you fully here? Hello?
It's the fastest growing jobs, and they pay good prevailing wages, 45, $50 an hour. We can grow and we can be cleaner if we go the route I'm proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I have
we
some
are
follow-up.
energy independent for the first time. We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive, kills all the birds, it's very intermittent, it's got a lot of problems.
I mean, it does, because it's basically a fan blade with no covering.
And they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China. And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the fumes coming up to make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Find me a
Solar.
scientist said that.
I love solar, but solar doesn't quite have it yet. It's not powerful yet to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So
False.
it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do?
We don't need factories to compete with the world. Really, Joe Biden, we're just gonna go back to the days of hunter gathering, because we don't need factories.
We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the economy, get rid of your oil industry. You want, and what about fracking?
All right,
Now
let
we
let me allow Vice President Biden to
I
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did show the tape.
Show the tape? Okay. What about that one time you were in a meeting and some girl asked you, will you get rid of fracking? I will get rid of fracking. Here. I did an entire video on fracking again. Please go watch it if you want to go see the full information. Joe Biden's lying.
Tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is, he's flat lying.
Would you rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer we need.
Now he's just lost all his climate change supporters, so they might not vote because they think, well, Trump's gonna do nothing, but Biden's also gonna do nothing. Not gonna vote. Thank you.
Other industries to transition to get to ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking, capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money and doing it. But it's a transition to that.
I have one more question in this pod, and then we
A transition to what?
He was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against it.
Fracking on federal land, I said. No fracking.
So he's going to try to ban fracking on federal land. So let's see what's federal land. Let's pull up a map of federal land. Oh wow, what do I see? Very little federal land in Pennsylvania. Oh my god, the entire coast of California, federal land. Almost all of Nevada, federal land. About half of Alaska, federal land. Some of the waters in Florida, federal land. DC, federal land. Wow. Now, I can't remember. Oh, wait. So, in other words, you're going to ban fracking on almost all of Nevada, around a quarter of Arizona, a quarter of Washington, half of Oregon, 3/4 of Idaho, around an eighth of Montana, half of Colorado or Utah, half of Colorado or Utah, a quarter in New Mexico, and around half in Alaska. So yeah. Here, actually, let me go tell you the percentage of federal land. Let me go tell you that. Here are the percentages. Alaska, 69%, California, 43%, Washington, 53%, or Oregon, 53%, Washington, 30%, Idaho, 50%, Nevada 85%. Arizona 48%. New Mexico 48%. Utah 37%. Colorado 42%, and Montana 30%. So all of that land will be banned from fracking. Per state, all of that banned from fracking. So yeah.
Oil on federal
Let
land.
me ask this final question in this section, and then I want to move on to our final section. President Trump, people of color are much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who worry the plants near them are making them sick. Your administration has rolled back regulations.
Sick from what? Emissions? Okay. Call the EPA.
On these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily, and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic, or Black, or Asian, it's 9 times greater the percentage gain than it was under, in 3 years, than it was under 8 years of the 2 of them, to put it nicely. 9 times more. Now, somebody lives, I have not heard the numbers or the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it, and I saved it again a number of months ago when oil was crashing because of the pandemic. Okay. We saved it. We got, say what you want about relationship, we got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Russia to cut back, way back. We saved our oil industry, and now it's very vibrant again.
All right.
And everybody has very inexpensive gasoline. Remember
Vice President Biden, your response, and then we're going to have a final question for both of you.
My response.
Okay. Since she foreshadowed a bit, what do you think the final question is going to be? I'm going to guess it's going to be, what's your... What do you think something else the other person is going to do? Yeah, that's what I'm going to predict.
Is that those people live on what they call fence lines. He doesn't understand this. They live near chemical plants that in fact pollute, chemical plants and oil plants and
Call the EPA.
Refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and the Delaware River.
Okay, you look like... How old is Joe Biden? Actually, how old is Joe Biden? 77 years old. So he grew up in the 50s, right? The Environmental Protection Act wasn't passed until the 80s.
River than there is.
Also under Richard Nixon.
Any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school, turn in the windshield wiper, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is, those frontline
Those were in the
communities, it doesn't matter what you're
50s.
paying them. It matters how you keep them safe. What do you do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of the...
Okay, so for Joe Biden, anybody who actually did their research, they'd realize you're old as dust. They'd also realize, Jesus Christ, Trump's 10 years younger than you.
Those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would he
question.
close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the
By
oil
the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh, that's
Transition. Oh, what is transition supposed to mean?
a big
Transition.
statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
Oh, so you'd want to transition away from the oil industry. Oh, transition away. Jesus Christ, Joe Biden.
I see.
Here's the deal. But
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. You won't give federal subsidies to the gas, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
give
right.
it to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very bold statement because Joe Biden just said, hey, we're not going to go get rid of the oil industry. Oh, by the way, we're gonna go be transitioning away from the oil industry. Jesus Christ, Joe Biden, how dismissive are you?
In terms of business, that's the biggest statement.
Okay,
Because
we have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have to get to the final question. Vice President
Okay.
Biden.
What do you think the final question is gonna be? Like, I really need to know. Let's see. Let's play a game. Actually, I'm sticking with my same thing. My first guess.
Takes everything out of context, but the point is, look,
I
we
did.
have to move toward a net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year.
Oh, we're gonna go be moving away. Okay. Now, what does that sound like? Well, I wonder. It kind of sounds like you will be banning oil. You should tell Pennsylvanians that. I think they'd really appreciate it.
Year 2035 is an energy production by 2050 totally.
All right. One
Is he
final
gonna get
question
China
to
to
both
do
of
it?
you. No, we're finished with
Is
this.
he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move
China
on to
to
our
do it?
final question.
No,
We have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our final
rejoin Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All right.
That'll
This,
Yeah, but the Paris Accord can't force anything. The only way to force China to do anything is to cause massive sanctions, which may hurt the U.S. economy, or go to war, which nobody's in favor of.
is about leadership, gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did
Actually, that's a really good question.
not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you.
We have to make our country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it, and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, etc. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best black unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women.
Yeah, this is true because, well, Trump's economic plans seriously helped businesses, and then China came along and said, ha ha ha, gonna ruin all that for you, but whatever.
Asian, people with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's.
Okay. I wonder if Joe Biden's going to respond to that, raise everybody's taxes, because if he says, I'm going to get rid of Trump's tax plan, then he does.
Taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
All right. Vice President Biden, same question to you. What will you say during your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for you?
I will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over.
Jesus Christ. Joe Biden, you've already said this speech, except, you did science over facts.
Fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same
Systemic racism.
time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning,
Clean energy, kind of not like oil or gas. Oh wow, oh that's fun. Kind of looks like you're planning to get rid of them.
what is on the ballot here is the character of this country. Decent.
Dude, this is your inauguration, not your win for going for president.
Honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. and I'm going to make sure you get
God, we do.
that. You haven't been getting it the last 4 years.
All right, I want to thank you both for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd. Don't forget to vote. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
And for everybody watching all my videos, thank you, everybody, and have a great night.